So, let's talk about something that can feel, well, a little heavy, but it's something so many of us go through. That quiet, nagging feeling that you might be missing out on true friendship. We're going to dive into that gap between just having people around and having the deep, meaningful connection you really crave.
You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling, you see everyone else's group photos and brunch plans, and you just feel this pang of loneliness. If that's you, then you're in the right place. See, friendship isn't just about having people to hang out with. It's like a crucial safety net that's supposed to catch us when life gets messy. And when that net feels thin, or maybe isn't there at all, it hurts. So let's look at the signs.
All right, so sign number 1. This one's pretty straightforward, and it's all about what's not happening.
Yeah, it's the silent phone. You're always the one sending the "hey, how you been" texts. You're the one making the plans, putting in all the legwork to just connect. If you feel like the communication is only flowing one way, that's a huge indicator that you're being seen as an option, not a priority. A real connection, a true friendship, it's a two-way street.
Okay, let's get into our second sign, which is all about the kind of plans you do end up making.
And what's really telling here is the pattern. Do they only seem to hit you up when they're bored on a random weeknight, but they totally ghost when you try to schedule something a week or two in advance? If hangouts only happen on their terms, whenever it's super easy for them, then you're probably just filling a hole in their schedule, not a place in their heart.
All right, number 3. Let's dig into the actual quality of your conversations.
I want you to think about your recent chats for a second. Do they always stay in the shallow end of the pool, talking about work drama, what's new on Netflix, the weather? Or do you ever get to the deep end, your real fears, your biggest dreams, the stuff that makes you, you? If you try to open up and all you get back is a quick, "Oh, that sucks," before they change the subject back to themselves, then you're being starved of that soul-level connection we all need to thrive.
Coming in at number 4 is a feeling that can be just so isolating.
This is that feeling of going through life solo, even if you're surrounded by people. You get a big promotion at work, but you realize you don't really have anyone to call and celebrate with. You want to go see a movie, but you end up just going alone. See, real friends don't just show up for the big parties. They're the ones you can call to make a boring trip to the grocery store feel fun. If you're navigating both the big wins and the small, everyday moments all by yourself, that's a huge sign.
And that feeling leads us right into sign number 5.
So, have you ever found yourself just pouring your heart out to your barista or your rideshare driver or a complete stranger in a waiting room? It's not because you're weird, it's because there's a vacuum. You have all these feelings and important thoughts you need to share, but the people who are supposed to be your friends just aren't available for that deep stuff. Oversharing with strangers is a major red flag that your inner circle has some pretty big holes in it.
Okay, sign number 6. This one's a real test of friendship. And honestly, it can be a painful one. Think about it. What happens when life gets really tough? You go through a horrible breakup, you lose your job, you have a family crisis. Do your so-called friends rally around you, or do they suddenly go radio silent? Shallow connections, they love the sunshine, but they disappear the second a storm cloud appears. Real friends are the ones who show up with ice cream and a shoulder to cry on when you need it the most.
Okay, next up at number 7, let's talk about the balance or the imbalance in your relationships.
This is all about reciprocity. Are you always the listener, the advice giver, the one who drops everything to be there for them? But when it's your turn, when you need support, they're suddenly so busy or just emotionally checked out? That kind of one-sided dynamic where you're always the giver, that's not a friendship. You're basically their emotional ATM, and it's going to leave you feeling resentful and totally drained. All right, sign number 8. This one is super important. It's about how you feel after you've spent time with them. Really, pay attention to your energy levels. After you hang out with a true friend, you should feel lighter, energized, you should feel seen. But if you consistently leave your interactions feeling exhausted, drained, or even questioning yourself, that's a massive sign. Some connections just don't fuel you. In fact, they dim your light.
All right, moving on to number 9. This is about what happens when you have good news to share.
So, you finally finish that huge project, you land a new client, you achieve some small personal goal you've been working on. You share the good news, and what do you get? Crickets. Or maybe worse, just a lukewarm, polite little nod. Real friends are your personal hype squad. They celebrate your wins like they're their own because they are genuinely, truly invested in your happiness.
Okay, sign number 10 is a little more internal. This one's about the walls you've built. So if the very idea of being truly vulnerable,
of sharing something really personal absolutely terrifies you, you gotta ask yourself, why is that? So often, this fear is actually a learned response. It comes from past friendships where your trust was broken. You've built these walls around your heart to protect yourself because your past experiences have taught you that opening up just invites pain.
And finally, that brings us to our last sign, number 11, which is all about our modern digital world.
Look, you might have hundreds, maybe even thousands of friends online, right? Your posts get tons of likes, the comments pour in, but let's be real. When you're having a truly bad day, how many of those people could you actually pick up the phone and call? If your social circle looks amazing online, but feels like an echo chamber in real life, it's a huge sign that your connections are wide, but they're not deep. Okay, so if a lot of these signs really hit home for you, I want you to hear this. Loneliness is not a life sentence. It's a signal. It's a signal that it's time to start seeking out genuine, authentic connections. You can start small. Join a book club or a local hiking group. Volunteer for a cause that you're passionate about, or hey, even just send a message to that one acquaintance you always kind of clicked with. Building real friendship takes effort, but you are so worthy of it. So, I'll leave you with this question. Which of these signs resonated with you the most?